Hello, Washington. This is Corey with the Washington Civil Rights Association, coming to you with a really quick video today. Just wanted to talk a little bit more about integrity, transparency, intellectual honesty, and just doing the right thing. There's an email that came out from the Alliance from Gun Responsibility that I'm going to show you here on my other screen in just a moment. That is none of those things. And it shows that time and time again, people who are really strong proponents of gun control don't necessarily have the data on their side, and they're willing to manipulate it in order to make things look different than they really are. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And now we are looking at the email and some additional data. So the email here says that new polling released just this morning shows that a large majority of Washington voters support restricting high-capacity magazines holding more than 10 rounds. 60% even. That number is alarming. You'd say, oh, wow. And they say it comes from this public policy polling for the Northwest Progressive Institute. Well, I went and did some digging and found that poll. It's right here. And we see that, sure enough, 60% of voters, potential voters, likely voters, support this kind of policy. However, if we look right here and down here, we see that the entire scope of their polling was 700 people. That was it. I don't understand how 700 people represents, in any kind of fashion, the general voter, the vote ideals of the general voter population. It just doesn't make sense. So the data is already skewed, and it's coming from it's just a bad poll, and they're pushing this bad data from this bad poll to peddle fear and try and sell a bad argument. And I mean, if we just look at the numbers from how we showed up to the actual hearing of the bill, and we talked about this in another video where we talked about why we deduplicated the data as opposed to using the raw data, and our desire to be intellectually honest and transparent and do the right thing. But yeah, let's take a look at it. If we see here, we have 15,987 people that voted or signed in as opposed to the mag ban. 43 signed in as other, 1,221 signed as in, supporting it. And that made up, a composition of 92% that opposed, a quarter of 1% that, had a different opinion, and 7% that were in favor of. So those right there are very drastically different numbers than their poll, and we have a larger sample set. If we look at our deduplicated data, which is the data that we released and are really working off of, because we don't know if people, got frustrated and entered a bunch of times. Who knows? We don't know. So we want to be as accurate as we possibly can. And when we look at that, we see that 14,948 unique sign-ins took place. 42 folks signed in as other, and only 854 signed in favor of the bill. That's 154 more people than was even included in their entire study. And when we crunch the numbers on that, we see that our percentages actually go up. 94% signed in as opposed. 0.27% were other, and only 5% were, in favor of a mag ban. So the data is wrong. It's not representative. I wouldn't even say that our data is representative of the entire voter population. We have a larger sample set, sure. I think it gives a better picture, but it's still very limited. I mean, we've got millions of voters in the state. how do either of these really represent that? But the moral of the story is here, trying to sell this to the people on a poll of 700 people is ridiculous, especially because they know how many people signed and opposed to the bill. Anyway, that's all I had. I just really wanted to touch on that integrity, manipulation of data, and just the kind of disgusting behavior that is taking place in I hate to use the term other side, but that they are the other side of the issue. And it just doesn't foster a sense of goodwill. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great evening, great week, and we'll talk to you later. Take care.